What a difference a year makes. Um, you know, just know a lot more about, what's getting ready to happen for training camp. After we played our last game, it was about a lot of work to be done before uh, the next season was here. And I know we're not gonna play a game next week or tomorrow or anything like that. But football season is here. Um, Guys have done an awful lot of good things in the off season. We wanted to get stronger, faster, all of that. Uh, More football knowledge, all those things the guys have been able to accomplish. But taking this next step for training camp is pretty important. Kind of changed up, of course, where we're going to hold training camp this year. Still on campus, but in a different area. So a little bit change of scenery will help. Uh, we have a few injuries right now, where guys won't be able to go full speed right away, but nothing major. We have a few guys that are excused for personal reason. Ricky Smalling won't be here uh, tomorrow. Maury Hayes, but eventually we should get the group back in place, everyone, and then kind of get ready to go. Offensively, made the statement every time I've talked, excited about Chase Crouch being our quarterback, what he's going to bring to the team. Um, Nick Alec, Reddy, Chris and Delario, these guys have done a super job of being upperclassmen, showing this young class how we do things. Kendrick Foster is in best shape he's been in. Uh, Mike Dudick is healthy, ready to go. Of course, Malik Turner. We go on and on offensively. And defensively, Sean Adesanya, it's been a long time. He's been around here, hasn't played, coming off of an injury. He's ready to go. James Crawford, Jamal Milan, Trey Watson, uh, Jalen Dunlap is a little banged up right now, so he won't be 100% right away. Has a lower leg injury, nothing major. Um, so besides that, we're excited about going to training camp. Our players are still in school for another week, so um, we're starting, of course, practice tomorrow. The following Monday, then when it's just football, things will even pick up a little bit more. But the first 2 days, we'll only be in shorts and helmets. From there, we'll put the pads on and start doing a little bit more work. Take your question.
When you say Jalen's not 100% for right away, you mean through camp, or are you looking
No, he
not
should.
that long term?
Don't know exactly how long. Nothing major. First few days, he won't be doing anything. Maybe even the first week or so. Uh, then from there, he'll be back out there. So no surgery involved. Not going to miss the season, anything like that. Just a little banged up right now, early on.
Lovie, is there any way you're taking a different approach with training camp this year? Different tone, different routines, anything like that?
Not really. Uh, I've done a few training camps. You tweak things from now a little bit each year. Um, it's not like we're going to start having a all-out squad scrimmage each day. Our numbers are down a little bit. We're going to teach, try to prepare. Ball State, we know the date. We have plenty of time. Have an extra week in camp this year. For the most part, we'll have the same approach to how we do training camp.
Coach, any changes at all relative to the recent announcement on concussions? You don't do a lot of scrimmaging anyway, I don't believe in it. Does anything change for you in the next couple of weeks that way?
No.
I would like to think that didn't change anything that we would do. Player safety has always been pretty important. In training camp, we're not interested in knocking our own guys out of practice, anything like that. But again, player safety has always been something that we've considered when we put our practice plans together, and we'll just follow suit with that.
Do you think you probably scrimmage less than most teams? And
Yeah,
as
no.
a coach, do you think that?
Have no idea. I mean, I've been in our camp all along. I know we scrimmage here about the same amount. I've always scrimmaged from when I was a player, when I've coached. So um, that isn't something that with your numbers, you can really do an awful lot of. I would guess that most teams don't do a lot of scrimmaging. I would say that. The goal of training camp is to teach and try to get your team ready to go. There are some players you need to see in that team environment, but most of them, you don't get a chance to see them until that first game. Kendrick Foster will not be taking a whole lot of hits. Chase Crouch will not be hit in our preseason practices. And if they are, there's an issue that I'm going to have with that guy. Yes.
How important is it to be successful in training camp to get these guys kind of off on the right foot?
Very, very important to get them off. Show them how to do things, tempo. But as much as anything, I mean, there's a lot of mental work to be done too. It's not a time limit that you have. Once the season starts, there's a 4-hour block each day that you can work with the players. That in place right now. So there's a lot of mental work we need to get done. Yeah, teach them how to be a college player. Teach them how to be a Fighting Illini football player. But you start that process. There's a lot of time in between to get that done.
Coach, where's Dre Brown at in his recovery? How far away is he from being full go?
He isn't 100% yet. So he'll be limited starting off practices. Of course, he and I talked about Mike being back fully. Dre isn't there yet, to answer the question.
Back to that experience, what's the biggest difference that you've noticed with your teams that are really experienced and your teams that are young? And I know obviously at pro level everybody's older age-wise, but in terms of experience, what's the biggest discernible difference that you notice in training camp between those super young teams and the super experienced turnkey kind of teams?
Haven't had a whole lot of super young teams. Of course, we have over 30 freshmen right now, and I just know, but it's not like they just got on campus. They've been here since June. I know they're a close group, and they've kind of excelled a little bit every step along the way in the classroom so far, all-season workouts, in the weight room and things like that. But everybody wants to play football. They want to put the pads on and start showing the coaches exactly who they are. So just a lot of excitement as much as anything, eager to go. And we are, as much as anything, too. This class, these new guys that we brought in, we knew our numbers were down. A lot of players will get an opportunity to play early on, and nothing has changed.
Joey Bose has had a lot of work to do, obviously, when he got here.
Yeah.
How much has he accomplished, and what has he meant so far?
Joey's done a super job, and his staff, to start off with that. I know I talked to a couple of you, I think, last week, and I talked about just some of the numbers. We have made just unbelievable gains in the weight room. Kind of simple as that. It's a process you have to go through. And I throw out the one number. We had 2 guys that could squat over 500 pounds, as I talked to you this time last year. We have 20 players now that can lift over it. So these are the kind of gains that we've made, not just squat, bench press, all of the strength numbers. Feel like we're in better shape also to go into this training camp. And, during the summer, Joey has had more time with our players, more time than we have. So now it's time to switch that along, and we bring the mental part, the football part of it up to par 2.
Ricky Small will be back on Tuesday.
He's excused right now for personal reasons. We'll let you know from there.
Where's Monkey Dude at mentally? You mentioned that, the mental part is a big part of training camp and just overcoming injuries, of course, as he has to do. Where's the challenge?
I think, Shannon, before he actually plays a game, there's a part mentally that will be there. That's another step he'll have to take. But what gives you confidence is you know what you've been doing. You know about your rehab, what all you've gone through. And right now, all he can do is just have his numbers up, talking his strength back. His knee, his back, you just measure what he could lift back then, his speed back then. We've measured all those things, and they're all back to where they were and even farther along. So that part is good to go. Now it's a training camp, for his practice. He'll he'll get a little bit of rest tonight, but I'm sure he'll be pretty anxious, to get back out there on the football field. But again, a lot of times when you have injuries like that, you come back stronger, and that's what we assume will happen with him.
Curious just to see whether there's any of that tentativeness sometimes athletes have coming back from it, or have you just not seen that?
I'm just going in assuming that there's not going to be that, knowing him. And I don't think there will be. And it's not like, we've been playing soccer and all of a sudden tomorrow we're going to start playing football. They've been running routes, catching the ball. He's gone through an awful lot of those things.
Is there a possibility that his anxiousness after 2 years could be a problem? That he could.
I can't. No, we just don't go at it that way. We're going at it like he's fine. He's good to go. He's anxious like all other players. Every player has a reason why they're excited about tomorrow. That's a part of Mike's. No more than that. He's gone through the process of getting the knee back in the position it's in right now, and everything will go well.
You've mentioned that Chase is going to be the starting quarterback as camp starts. But somebody who's taken not had a whole lot of reps at the position is kind of green in terms of guys with a lot of experience. What challenges does that bring in as camp starts with somebody new like that?
Well, it's challenges not just with Chase, with all the positions, but we're a young ball club. So if that was really a big deal to us, we would be losing a lot of sleep because we have a lot of players. We lost, 5 defensive linemen last year? 7 new defensive linemen coming in. There's a lot of young players we have. But, again, these are young players with talent, and inexperience can only make you stay up so late at night. And that inexperience, though, changes. It can change quickly once you get out there and you start practicing, you start teaching, start coaching, and that's what we're anxious to do.
Do you anticipate teaching more in this camp, because you have, like 4-to-1 freshman to senior ratio?
And guys, that's what I'm going to say. This camp, if I talked to you 10 years ago, I'd be saying the same thing. We teach every camp, a lot every camp. And each year we want to teach more and finding better ways to teach the players. Yeah, there are young players, but it's the same mindset. And for us, this is our second year. There's a lot. You can't get everything accomplished your first year. So, yes, that's why, to me, everybody wants to know how much you're going to hit. When are you going to start scrimmage, all that? No, it's that we have to get through. To me, I see most of the teams that win are the teams that know what they're supposed to do, play after play. And it takes a while to get to that point.
7 freshman defensive linemen. I know you haven't seen them practice yet. Where are they at from a physical standpoint? Are they guys that are going to be able to play right away and compete in the Big Ten?
Again, I wish I knew all those, a lot of questions you have there. That's why we get to camp. I just know nothing has changed since we signed, except for the guys of this class, except for the guys that have been here on campus, done well academically, and in the weight room, they've gotten bigger, stronger. So all of that is there. On whether they can play in the Big Ten, that's why we brought them here. Yeah, we think these guys can play. But we have to let them be freshmen first. And this initial press conference kind of letting you know who's going to start practicing. And for us, speculation right now, all right? Every team in America, we're all in the same place. We have to get out there. We'll get out there tomorrow. We'll know a lot more. But I just know that you want to start off with guys with talent that you think can play. If they take coaching and do all that, we think these guys would do that, and we think we're going to end up with some pretty good football players.
Logistically, how will you handle your new practice site where you load them on buses and go over?
Yes, exactly what we'll do. It's a little bit farther, walking distance, so we'll have shuttles. We'll have shuttles taking them back and forth, buses to do it. Maybe a couple of coaches may ride bikes over a little bit, but that's how we'll do it.
Is there a certain idea or mindset in going over to those fields, or just get more space because it's kind of cramped and restricted with the,
Yes. Reason why, first off, we have a new facility that we're pretty pumped up about. Part of that is that we've already put our practice fields in place. So we got new practice fields earlier in the spring, really. And we're going to stay off of them. Once school starts, we'll start practicing back out here again. But right now we want to stay off our fields, and we have a lot of space back there. We have an area, we have 3 great practice fields out there, and I just like the whole setup that we have. I think it's a better setup than we had last year, really.
With so many young players sort of getting a chance to get out there so soon, how do you think that's going to affect the way they grow as players?
Well, hopefully, I think a lot of the guys came here for that reason. You know, players have had success, and we're building, and we're going to bring in a class, and a lot of those guys will get a chance to play early. They came here for that reason, and they're getting a chance to do that. So hopefully, and I believe when you have a talented player, put them out there. If you think he can play, you put them out there right away. In Tampa, first day Jameis Winston played, he practiced. He was on the first team. We put him there. We did our research, we evaluated him, and you went from there. We've done the same thing right now. You won't see a lot of our guys taking the first rep on the first team right away, but a lot of our young players, our freshmen, will get an opportunity to start competing and have an opportunity to get playing time immediately. Yes.
Coach, what are you seeing from just, I guess, freshmen in general as far as like lifestyle changes, you know, obviously coming to campus and being on their own in a certain sense?
Well, seeing them go through the adjustments that you have to. And that's why it's really good to get the freshmen here in the summer, where they know where the dorm is, know where they eat. They're comfortable in Champaign at the University of Illinois, and they've gotten to know each other. And when you come in together as a group, what I've seen is that freshman class, they get together, and that's what I've seen. You very seldom see one of them, or 2 or 3 or 4. They go in a pack, and that's what you want. Guys getting to know each other, like each other, and they're a confident group too. You know, as we went out recruiting, we said, hey guys, this is our first recruiting class coming in. We chose you. We want you. And they came here with that mindset, and they plan on doing something. So I'm not going to be surprised when we see some of those guys be able to perform early.
What did you like from Trey Watson last year? You know, what potential did he show or impact did you have, and what are the expectations this year with some of the guys gone?
Trey Watson, first off, is a extremely bright, smart football player, and you need that. You need a guy that, guy that's playing middle linebacker for you needs to, know, of course, his job and what everybody else is supposed to do. You need a leader, conductor, and that's Trey. Made a lot of plays, made a lot of tackles, took the ball away. We talk takeaways and things like that here. Trey has been able to do all those things. And when you have a smart player like that, has another year in the system, go through an off season, and we let him know his role a little bit more in detail. So anxious to see, what he'll do the second time in the system. Linebacker play is pretty important, of course, in our group.
Lovie, what do you think of the cornerbacks opposite Jalen? Obviously, he's a big strength of your defense, but what did you see out of them in the spring, and what do you want to see this fall?
Well, if you just going over the areas that we need someone to step up. Jalen Dunlap would be one of our corners, but the other position, we have a training camp battle for that spot. Simple as that. We haven't been pleased with the play we've gotten opposite it, and whether it's Frank Sumter, Maury Hayes, our young players, we have Nate Hobbs, Tony Adams. All those guys will get an opportunity, but they do need to step up. I could say the same thing about our offensive line. I talked about Nick and what Kristen DeLaura has done. But the other spots, we need guys to step up there also.
Adams cleared 100% after his knee injury, or is he full go?
100%. Close. He's making a lot of progress, but I wouldn't say he's 100% yet. He'll be limited a little bit early on.
Some of the freshmen that played last year, and some had quite a bit of success, both safeties. Do you see them enter this training camp with maybe more confidence, or just knowing that they can compete at that level?
I think just like all of us, your second time around, you come in with more confidence. Kind of knowing, what to expect, and everybody comes in thinking that they're going to be all world and going to make a big impact right away. We have some freshmen did make an impact. came in thinking they could play at this level and they were able to do it, that has to put you in a different frame of mind. At the same time, for our freshmen coming in, we showed everybody last year that we'll play young players right away. Young players can come in. Now there's another group of young players coming in too. So even though I talk about some of the position, we need guys to step up. That should bring a lot of competition. As much as anything, that's what you want in training camp. You don't want to go be in training camp and a lot of guys know that there's no way I can get beat out here. I got to get through training camp. I know I'm going to play against Ball State. We want guys to feel like they have to go out every day and earn and win their job. And I think we have a lot of that at most positions.
What surprised you most over the last 12 months, or what did you learn the most over the last 12 months?
Been like winning 3 games.
That comes to mind in every conversation as much as anything. Everything else, I think, kind of played out a little bit. We have some great guys here that are eager to win football games, do what we ask them to do. It's a process, and you have to take steps along the way. Step 2, year 2. So we're just anxious to start going to work. We try not to do a whole lot of talking about what we're going to do and what we're going to accomplish. We just want to win tomorrow as much as anything. I want the University of Illinois to just win day after day after day, put good days on top of each other, keep shoveling that dirt, what we're going to try to do.
Talk a lot about normal players, but how have the returning players adjusted to sort of having to step up and become leaders for the young players?
Everything we've asked them to do off of the field, without practice starting, they've done well. And I'm talking about from Chase to Trey. Wes Lunt was in that position last year. Hardy Nickerson was in Trey's position last year. And you can kind of go down the line, but that's how it happens. If you're building your program the right way, there's a time when you have to be more vocal. There's a time when you should be a part of the group, and your roles change constantly. And you have to be ready for that. A lot of players' roles have changed, and I think they're ready to take control of it.
Most vocal leader?
When you point out a couple of guys like that, I like where our football team is. Guys, they've all done what they're supposed. I'm not disappointed in anyone. They've all been vocal, and not just that talking vocal. I'm talking about with their actions and what they've been doing, the amount of gains that they've made. So I don't think it's a time to signal out a lot of people when you start training camp. What we're going to do, we're going to watch closely each day, and at the end we're going to select 4 captains, base, and then we'll know a little bit more. But right now we need to go to the next step to see exactly where we are.
You mentioned, and some other guys have mentioned, just Chase having kind of this presence as far as leadership goes, or guys listen to him. Can you think of some instances where you first noticed that about him, that he had that quality?
Just about every time I've noticed it. When he played last year, stepped up right away. But I'll just say the entire offseason he's been that way. Kind of obvious who our quarterback was. And even though he had an injury, he was coming off an injury, I'm talking about him, his preparation, video, watching. When I talk about being vocal, there's a couple guys, though, that normally are vocal. The established leader of your football team is a guy that normally is talking, and he's the one that should be talking when no one else should be. That's Chase. He's been in that role throughout. And I don't think coaches, we don't go in and say, okay, you're the leader. It doesn't happen like that. It just happens. And that's been the case. And in order for that to just happen, you have to work your butt off in the weight room and everything else you do, and let your teammates see you doing that. And that's where Chase is.
Does an injury like he had make him appreciate sliding a little bit more?
I know.
We've talked a lot about sliding. Hopefully it does, and you can see what it can do to a football team when you lose your guy. Your established leader, when he goes down, it's a step back. Now, that next guy may take advantage of the opportunity, but it can hurt you a lot. Chase knows he has to, we're not talking about, we're not going to make him stay in the pocket. No, that's not how it works. Just knows he's got to get down a little bit more, and some decision, you have to make a decision every time. You just have to be a little bit more cautious when you play.